single moment. The destruction of what is quite possibly the final second barrier to ever be broken in the competition to beat the game as quickly as possible.
454 is the perfect speedrun.
How did the last second barrier in Super Mario Bros. Get defeated so quickly?
The final second barrier has finally been broken.
454. If you've seen even just the tiniest of Super Mario Bros. Speedrunning over the past couple years, this specific time has been hard to avoid. For well over a decade now, tool assisters have pushed the game to its limit and have figured out the last second barrier in the game no matter what, and that time is a 454. Entering 2011, Happily released a tool-assisted run that, when converted to normal speedrun timing, comes out to a 454.03. This means that not a single person, or computer in this case, can get any second barrier past 454. With the time being so close to another second barrier, everyone over the years has had one single question: what about 453? Well, time and time again, it's been proven and stated to be flat out impossible. But what if I told you that it was possible? Kinda. Most people watching this video are probably at least a little bit familiar with the original NES and Famicom release of Super Mario Bros. But what about other versions of the game? With Super Mario Bros. Being one of the best-selling games of all time, it made sense for Nintendo to release this game time and time again over the past few decades. And while a lot of these re-releases are simple emulation of the original NES title, there are some versions in between that are completely unique. Today I primarily want to talk about Super Mario All-Stars, released on the Super Nintendo in 1993. Nintendo packaged up all three NES titles, as well as the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2, into one single game. Besides the upgrade to 16-bit, each game got its own minor polish, the most notable being Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2, now called the Lost Levels. Nintendo made this game way more forgiving compared to the original, making it very easy to continue after losing lives. While at first glance you may think this Super Mario Bros. Plays the exact same as the NES, you would actually be pretty wrong. Many glitches in the NES release were fixed, such as Minus World, Small Fire Mario, and soft walking in water levels. Besides minor quality of life updates, there are also some minor tweaks that may be quite noticeable if you've played the original game quite a bit. When destroying a brick in All-Stars, you continue moving upwards and fall back down, where in the original, you quickly move downwards. Hitboxes were also improved on the Super Nintendo, and you probably know the infamous part in NES speedruns where players seem to magically jump over piranha plants. So to all those YouTube commenters, this is because the piranha plant's hitbox is actually towards the bottom part of the plant. In All-Stars though, the piranha plant means quite serious business, and is a lot harder to squeeze by without slowing down or killing it. Approaching the actual speedrun, you may peek at the leaderboard and notice the record as of making this is a 456, which is quite a bit off from a 453. Today I'm not here to talk about an already existing record, but instead I want to dive into what could be the future record. Over the years, multiple people, many being speedrunners of the original game, have messed with the All-Stars version. Over time, some runners have made multiple discoveries about the game, such as different flagpole interactions and experimenting with clipping through pipes, just like in the original. Many notable Mario runners have held this record throughout the years, including Andrew G, Darbian, and Cosmic. This trend has continued over time, with the newer wave of Mario runners taking top positions such as Miniland, Niftski, Nolmi, Dreamy MKW, GT Ace, and Eddie Cat Gaming. On January 16th, 2022, top Super Mario Bros. Runner Miniland posted a video stating 453 is possible in Super Mario Bros., with a big asterisk at the end. Over the past few weeks, Miniland had been grinding individual level attempts in the All-Stars version of the game in order to lower the human sum of best. Believe it or not, he ultimately lowered this time by over 3 seconds, and he even stated that 454 was quite a possibility in this version within the next couple of years. With the help of Miniland, we're going to dissect the possibility of a 453 by analyzing this spliced demonstration, as well as digging further past that. Buckle up, cause there's quite more than you'd expect. So how did Miniland splice together a 453.284? And how is there even more time save in this game than the NES release? Well, the differences start as early as 1-1. If you've watched any Super Mario Bros. Speedrun analysis by now, you will be familiar with the frame rule system. Many like to view this as a bus. The game checks every 21 frames, or 0.35 seconds, to see if a player has beaten a level or not. Normally, the goal for each level in Super Mario Bros. Is to play just good enough to achieve the fastest frame roll possible. But that's not entirely true here. In the original, frame rules come into play by the time you start the game and the black screen in 1-1 appears. In All-Stars though, 1-1 has 0 frame rules. Besides not checking frame rules when starting 1-1, the game also doesn't check any level ending in a warp zone. Due to this, it's easier to combine levels together to keep track of frame rules. For the sake of keeping track, combining 1-2 and 4-1, as well as combining 4-2 and 8-1, makes a lot more sense in order to keep track of what frame rule you're on. This means that every frame matters in the first 2 levels, and you need to play as perfectly as possible in order to get the perfect frame rule in 4-1. 1-1 includes a flagpole glitch, while 1-2 includes clipping into the end pipe to enter the warp zone, similar to the NES. There is one difference that saves a bit of time here. In the original game, you need to run far enough right to load the warp zone properly, and then immediately jump back left into the World 4 pipe. Executing this fast enough to get the optimal frame roll is really tight, and while 1-2 is very hard on All-Stars, luckily the minus world glitch isn't a thing here, and the warp zone is already loaded. This means that you can instantly enter the World 4 pipe after clipping through. In this spliced run, Miniland plays 1-1 7 frames faster than the record, or just over a tenth of a second, and in 1-2 plays 6 frames faster than the record, or roughly a tenth of a second. An optimal World 4 is instantly harder on the Super Nintendo, with 4-1 starting with a fast acceleration. In Super Mario Bros., Mario accelerates faster when facing left, so if you start a level or room jumping and facing left at the same time, you can save between 1 and 5 frames. In this case, you need a perfect fast accel that gives you 5 frames. Assuming you can get that, in the middle of the level, you need to hold down plus right here to manipulate Mario's subpixels, as well as hit this mushroom block. Why do you need to do this? Well, first, setting up your subpixel will make flagpole glitch consistent, assuming you do the inputs and setup correctly. Secondly, hitting this mushroom block makes Mario grab the right side of the flagpole instead of the left. This allows Mario to get to the castle faster after finishing said level. After performing all this, Miniland saves a single frame roll against the current record. Like mentioned before, 4-2 doesn't have any frame rolls in this version due to being a warp zone level, so again, every frame counts. 4-2 in Super Mario Bros. Is quite notable for having a trick dubbed a wrong warp, that allows you to enter the warp zone through a pipe instead of climbing a vine. This saves a considerable amount of time, considering that you don't have to watch the vine climbing animation. Don't worry, that is also done here, but for this human summit best, it's way more complex than just positioning the screen correctly. This is probably the most technical we're gonna get throughout the entire video. Before getting into it, again, I want to remind you that since 4-2 is a warp zone level, it doesn't have a separate frame rule, so for timing purposes, it's easier to calculate when combined with 8-1, so we'll end up talking about the frame rule time save afterwards. Anyways, playing this level at full speed, you probably have many questions about what just happened. In just a handful of seconds, this run gets way more technical than you would ever think. First, let me summarize what happens. By manipulating your subpixels, you clip into the top of this pipe and get a really fast pipe entry without slowing down. Now let's rewind that really quick and go to the very beginning. Entering the level, the same concept done in 4-1 is done here. Miniland holds down plus right on the ground for 2 to 3 frames. By default, your subpixels here won't work with the clip, so assuming you do this, you should be able to continue on. Clipping the top of the pipe here is done in the same fashion as 1-2, where you release the B button really quick and perform a 1-frame jump. You then briefly hold left here to manipulate Mario's screen position for the wrong warp. Just as you're about to clip out the other side of the pipe, you need to quickly jump onto the blocks on the right. Tightly jump over to the right end of the tallest pipe. And while performing a jump off said pipe, Miniland starts to hold left and down in order to enter the pipe on the earliest frame possible without stopping. No matter how I explain this, it's going to make it sound way easier than it really is. First of all, pulling this off is very luck based. This is where things get extra technical. You need to jump off the tallest pipe here really late, and after this point, things get really lucky. In order to enter a pipe with speed, you can't move a pixel in the frame before you enter. What does this mean? Well, pixels in this game consist of 16 subpixels, 0 through 15. For example, if you're on subpixel number 0 of a pixel 2 frames before you enter the pipe, and the 15th subpixel of the same subpixel the frame after, you will enter the pipe successfully despite moving. This reasoning exactly relates to how the tool assist pipe entry works for the optimal 4-2 frame rule on the NES. This becomes quite an issue when we get to different speeds. For example, if you're going 15 subpixels per frame, you need to be moving from subpixel 0 to the 15th subpixel. If you start on any other number subpixel, you would end up moving to an entirely different pixel, which again, remember, you can't move a pixel in the frame before entering. This in turn would scroll the screen and not make the wrong warp work. So assuming your speed is 15 subpixels per frame, and you're moving from subpixel 0, there is a 1 subpixel window to do the pipe entry at subpixel 15, or a 1 in 16 chance. If your speed is 14 subpixels per frame, you have a 2 in 16 chance. A speed of 13 subpixels being a 3 in 16 chance, and I think you get the rest. Miniland claims that he was going around a speed of 12 subpixels per second in attempts, which means that he had a 4 in 16 or 25% chance of a successful pipe entry. This means that even with the correct inputs, 75% of the time, this would fail no matter what. On top of this, it's also important to note that due to piranha plants having bigger hitboxes, you need to have the piranha plant fully come down before you start slowing down yourself. And again, because somebody's probably going to comment this for no reason, since the game doesn't check for frame rules leaving warp zones, your pace is carried over to 8-1, where you can potentially save more frame rules. We will get to that pretty shortly. You know what else you could potentially do? Subscribe and like the video. If you want to see behind the scenes updates as well as a private Discord server, you can also become a member of the channel. Anyways, on with the video. Continuing from 4-2, if 8-1 is played fast enough, more frame rules are in play. Once again here, Miniland is going to manipulate his subpixels in order to set up for a flagpole glitch. By holding down and right off this block, you end up losing 1 subpixel. This then in turn allows you to hold down and right on another set of blocks, which loses you a few more subpixels. This sets you up just right to perform yet another flagpole glitch. And ultimately, Miniland saves another 2 frame rules over his record. (8-2) in Super Mario Bros. Speedruns is quite known for featuring the bullet bill glitch, which when doing optimally, saves 2 frame rules. This involves timing a jump off a launched bullet bill against the base of the flagpole. This ultimately skips the flagpole animation and instantly beats the level. You'll be happy to know that this can also be done in All-Stars, but it's not the same situation. First of all, you can't do bullet bill glitch on the same frame rule for this sum of best, due to Mario ending the level facing backwards on the flagpole. If you were to do the bullet bill glitch in this situation, Mario would bounce to the right side after hitting the bullet bill and walk to the castle like normal. Even if bullet bill glitch did act normally on this frame rule, on All-Stars the bullet bill glitch completely soft-locks the game. Instead, Miniland here performs a variant of the flagpole glitch dubbed Mavpole. Without doing a proper setup beforehand, when jumping off the stairs towards the flagpole, you do a wiggle mid-air to successfully pull off the flagpole glitch. This saves yet another frame rule. You best believe that before the run ends, you'll be seeing another flagpole glitch in 8-3. Halfway through the level, you do a precise slowdown which sets you up for both flagpole glitch and a right-facing flagpole. This slowdown is just enough to barely miss a 243 on the timer, which would give you 3 fireworks before transitioning. This saves 2 frame rules over top runs, but ultimately saves 3 over Miniland's record, due to him unfortunately losing a frame rule during his run. (8-4), the final level. After this, the run is over. And just like in the original Super Mario Bros., every frame in 8-4 counts. Over the years, the 8-4 individual run for this game has become heavily competitive and optimized. There's even a leaderboard for it. Unfortunately, we can't say that for the All-Stars version. There's no proper documentation for individual level runs, so we'll just talk about Miniland's performance in both his record and sum of best. So here's the breakdown. Miniland's splice sum of best is 32 frames faster, or just over half a second faster than his record. In the fastest Human Theory speedrun, has an 8-4, 19 frames, or just under a third of a second faster. While structurally the run is the same with it having a wall jump and a wrong warp, the biggest change to note in 8-4 is how different the enemies behave. On the NES, piranha plants in 8-4 despawn right as you go above the pipe, which allows you to instantly enter them. On All-Stars though, you have to wait for the plants to go back down, and if you want to be risky, you can time Mario's jump into the pipe, but it definitely is a high-risk, low-reward situation. The fire bars and bloopers in the water room also behave differently here. This ends up leading to a completely different approach of how to swim through the room. If you happen to be familiar with the original game, you will also be familiar with top-level 8-4 runs having fast accelerations in different rooms. You can do this in every room, excluding water obviously, to save a handful of frames each time. In Miniland's Splice run, he opts out of 2 fast accels, and besides that, the level isn't fully optimized. But maybe if this category's limit gets pushed more over time, we'll see an even higher individual level run of 8-4. So how possible is a 453? Well, it's possible, but not realistic. 453 is out of the question for the current moment, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. Removing 2 of the hardest frame rules, the 8-2 Mavpole glitch, and a frame rule between 4-2 and 8-1, would put the sum best to a 453.98. For now, a 455 and even a 454 is a realistic possibility for the future of human runs. Miniland wants to get a 455, and Niftski wants to get a 455 in the near future, and also wants a 454 long term. If you want to be extreme though, 452 is technically possible, but with all the current knowledge and abilities we have, there is no way that is realistically going to happen. King of Johnny Boy recently put out a tool assist run, using only human possible inputs, clocking in at a 452.968. I'd probably listen to the top players though. People have hit the last second barriers in the NES version, and now it's time to see what happens on the Super Nintendo. Thank you so much for watching. I just want to say that while the beginning of 2022 has been quite a ride already, making these videos and having such a positive response has really kept me going. So I want to do some pretty big things this year, and I hope you're ready to see what's next. Thanks everybody again, and stay safe.